Yes, Miss Jamaica World 2021.
That's me.
What has your life on Hi-Fi?
The little things have my life on Hi-Fi.
You're listening to Life on Hi-Fi, the podcast, and I'm your host, Dominic Justina.
You're a country girl, right? Yes, you're a country girl at heart. But I met you as a Kingston girl at Campion. And for those of you who don't know, that is a high school in Jamaica. So I'm just like ready to connect with you, to hear, to catch up on all the big things you've been doing. You've been doing a lot of big things.
The winner of Miss Jamaica World 2021 is
Miss General Foods,
Khalia Hall.
ladies and gentlemen.
So there are lots of different pageants and each of them are different. I didn't quite understand before, and I think a lot of Jamaicans don't understand the difference between them. For example, Miss Universe versus Miss World. But what drew me to Miss World was their motto, beauty with a purpose. And it was just in alignment with where I was in my life at the time. I had moved back to Jamaica. You know this, I switched from engineering to cooking in hopes of helping Jamaicans to improve their health. And I felt like the platform would be great for amplifying that message, especially in a country like Jamaica where beauty queens are known for what they contribute, you know? People like Yendi Phillips, Terry Carell, they're not just a pretty face, you know, they've done something in Jamaican society. And so I think that's why, as young girls, we look up to them in some sense. And I look up to them and hope that I can have some kind of impact.
Was that an easy decision for you?
I would say it was in the back of my mind for some time, but it was probably my mother who kind of pushed me, who gave me the push to finally do it. And I think secretly, if she could enter a pageant right now, she would. So that helps.
Mommy,
No,
you.
She is, I swear, I taught her how to do the pose. There's a T stance that you do when you enter pageantry, you learn to do it. And ever since I taught her to do it, she has not stopped doing it for pictures. She cannot stand any other way.
That is very, you have to go show after this show what a T stance is, because now
I will. My mommy is a big motivator in my life. She calls herself my number one cheerleader. And so she gave me the final push to do it. And it wasn't easy, you know. I think people who have previous experience in, say, media, or I don't know, their job just requires them to speak up and speak out. Maybe it's not so difficult for them to enter something like this, but it was the complete opposite for me. You know, my life before did not require me to stand up in front of a panel of judges, walk like I'm a confident model. You know, it was just all these new things. So it was not easy. Let's just put it that way.
People will look at you and be like, Khalia, you know, you're tall, you're gorgeous, like you have everything going for you. It must be easy. Would you say, in terms of who you are, that you always had that confidence, or is that something that you had to develop?
I almost want to say yes to both, meaning I think it's in me, you know, but I think I have my own personal battles and self-doubt. And so I don't even allow it to come out. And so the opportunity, like entering the pageant, really made me realize that I have a lot more potential than I think I have. I'm capable of doing so much more than I believe I can.
Look. Period.
It's built my self-confidence for sure. And I'm sure you can attest to this, but when you grow to a certain extent, it's hard to see the growth. But I'm starting to see it. You know, there are situations I'm in where, you know, I was helping my friend prepare for an online interview the other day and thinking to myself, this is so easy for me. Like, I would never even feel nervous with someone throwing a random question at me, because I've built up the confidence trust. I trust myself to know that I can answer any question. You like throw any question at me and I can answer it. And it's through pageantry that I built up that confidence. So.
I feel like that's a dare, so.
No! Don't kill me.
How do you feel right now as Miss Jamaica World and going out in public? Did anything change?
The first thing is, I think the mask helps. So if you don't dress up too much, if I'm not wearing if I'm not wearing a nice outfit and heels and I'm just sneaking out to the supermarket and I look super simple and I have my mask on, I think it does not draw a lot of attention. But, and I also think not everyone will come up to me and be like, oh, hi, can I get a picture with you? Some people, sometimes I just feel eyes. So people see you and they recognize you, but they're not going to be excited. In the same way that I've seen Chronix before and I didn't run over to him and say, oh my God, Chronix, I love you.
Yeah. No, Jamaicans
So,
are known for that, like not the frightened type, but the staring type though.
For sure. I think it's because in our society, important people still go to normal places.
Yeah.
So I've seen, Miss Kitty at Price Mart, Yendi at AC Hotel. Like they go to the same places you go to. So it's not as if I'm seeing Drake.
It's a small place, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't feel overwhelmed by that in terms of going out in public. But I have to be, one thing I have noticed is I just have to be aware of how I carry myself. I was very simple before, did not wear makeup apart from maybe a little dried up mascara I had from 2 years ago that I would put on before I go out.
Khalia.
That's all I own. I swear that's all I own. And, if I needed to go on the road, I would just wrap my hair in a bun, throw on a t-shirt and some jeans, and that was enough for me. But now I have to be a little more conscious, not just a little, I have to be more conscious of it. Because in any moment, someone can ask to take a picture. You don't know where they're going to post it. You don't know what people are going to say. And anything can come up. I remember once I went to just pick up something from a friend of mine, and she works at an embassy in Kingston. So, I was just supposed to drive, wind down my window and collect and leave. And I thought to myself, Khalia, let me just dress nicely in case, just as the Miss Jamaica World team warned me. So I dressed nicely. She's like, Khalia, you have to come out and meet all my co-workers. Everyone in the office wants to take pictures with you. And I thought to myself, yes, I'm prepared. So that's new. That's new to me.
My mom would love to hear that because she always raised me. She's like, she calls me Daniel. So she's like, Daniel, you have to dress up like you don't know who you're going to meet. Even if you're going to the supermarket, it's like you have to carry yourself well. And so even like my partner right now, he's like, really? Makeup? Why? We're just going across the road. And I'm like, so it don't matter.
You never know.
It don't matter. You never know. And it's just been a part of who I am now. But you're totally right. Like I remember you not being you're very minimalist, still very beautiful, energy still very vibrant, but makeup and like all of those like extra things, I don't remember you being dabbling into it as much. So it's definitely an adjustment. I feel like I want to ask you what's been the biggest adjustment or challenge that you've had to make with this entire process.
Just adjustment, so like a change. Yes. Biggest change.
How have you had to like change throughout this process? And you've kind of given me a glimpse, but what is the biggest?
That's one of them, because it's ongoing, it's every day, it's every time you step out of your house. But another one would be my confidence. I just feel a lot more confident because when you're Miss Jamaica World, you have to speak, whether it is for an interview, a panel of judges, to the public. I'm sure this year I'm going to have a lot more public speaking engagements. I haven't really had any experience public speaking, so in front of a large group of people, and maybe I won't because of COVID, but that's something that I felt very uncomfortable in those situations before, speaking out. And now I'm just slowly, not to say I don't get nervous, but I've adjusted and I feel pretty confident. So.
What's an example? Well, I just answered the question in my head. Give me like an example still of a situation where you've had to speak out, not in like in a one-on-one interview, for instance, like this one, but speaking in front of an audience.
An audience. Okay, and sometimes it's very spontaneous. That's the other thing. You always have to be ready. It's not like you can say, oh, can you give me 15 minutes to prepare something in my head? You just have to speak on the spot. So I would say I was in General Foods when I came back from Puerto Rico, and I was handing over some money to the charity I was helping out. And they wanted me to like announce on the microphone in the supermarket. It was at General Foods. And, encourage people to come and donate and tell them about what I'm doing and how it's helping the mustard seed community. And I had to go on for a while, but yeah, I just had to pick up the mic and start speaking on the spot. And everyone in the line, they were just all, staring at me. And initially I felt a little, nervous, uncomfortable. But once you start speaking, you get warmed up.
What is your tip so far? Like, what has been helping you to deal with those like on-demand situations where you have no time to prep and you're just being called to do it?
Trusting yourself, because most of the times it's just in our head. Or self-talk comes out in our actions, or the way we portray ourselves is representative of the way we speak to ourselves and what we believe we can do and can't do. For example, I remember during the Miss Jamaica World competition, we had an on-camera personality interview, you could call it. And I noticed girls who were more well-known before by the public, and so they had a bit more pressure on them to do well. They had an air of confidence because you have to fill those shoes. If people are expecting it from you, you believe it of yourself and you just do it. Whereas I did not have that. And so I was constantly doubting myself, and I would look at them and realize, but they're no better than me. It's just, I think they're having a different conversation in their head. And so it's not, pardon?
I was just saying self-talk is a lot. Like, it has a huge impact on you.
Of course. And so honestly, and in the moment, I don't know if you can get rid of it in the moment. Maybe you can with breathe. If I'm nervous, if I have a very important situation coming up and I feel super nervous and I have some time, I breathe, and that really helps. I clear my mind. I listen to everything that's happening around me, conversations, a little bird tweeting, my hair blowing over my shoulder. I feel if I'm cold, if I'm warm, I just observe the present moment, and it normally calms me down. And whatever thoughts, negative cycle of thoughts I was having stops. And so I can go into it with a clear mind. But if you don't have the time, I think that just comes with improving your self-talk beforehand, if you get me.
Yeah.
So yeah, just trusting yourself and recognizing that you are capable and you are worthy. And sorry, another tip.
Oh no, don't apologize. All the tips. This
just came to me. I also embodied an alter ego. So I don't know if you know Catriona Gray. She won Miss Universe in what year was it? I think it was maybe like 2017 or so, 2018 maybe. And she was one of the most well-known Miss Universes, just embodied everything a Miss Universe should embody. And so I would say Catriona fierce, before an interview, something important, even a photo shoot, to be more confident in a photo shoot, I would just think Catriona fierce. Like I'm not just regular Khalia at home. I am this new person. And that really helps me because I have it in me. I just need to bring it out.
Yeah, now I really need to. Hold on, I have to Google her. I need to see who Catriona Gray is.
Oh, yes. Check and let me know if you recognize her.
I feel like, no, I don't. But I love that idea of embodying. Yeah, I love that idea of embodying alter ego. I mean, we know that Beyonce talks about her Sasha Fierce.
That's where it came from.
Yeah, she comes on, very quiet and soft-spoken, and then on the stage she's the biggest energy. And so I find that to be a really interesting tip. I never thought of that tip before.
We are the same one person at the core, but I think different life situations requires us to bring different versions of ourselves. The Dominic you are with your mother when you're just at home and comfortable is very different from the Dominic you are in office giving a presentation. And I don't know if for you it's like a switch on, like I'm here, I'm ready, but
no,
it's kind of like that.
Yeah. And I think so the alter ego in the moment. I've never tried that. Definitely will be. I'm excited to build this alter ego. 2, you said be present, breathe. That works wonders with anxiety and with, nerves. I've experienced it before where I had to pitch this podcast because I needed funding. And first of all, why am I even trying to pitch a passion project that I didn't even get trained in media for?
Which you're great at though.
Thank you. But I'm just like, I have no business being here with all these people pitching their wonderful, wonderful products. But okay, I'm gonna just do it. I got so nervous, girl, like shaky nervous. I had to kindly excuse myself from the room. I found that empty stairwell because that was the most quiet place I could find. And I just sat down and I just breathed. And I just held myself and just breathed. And by the time I was ready to go on, the nerves were still there, but the breathing helped me to be present and to kind of hold on to like, okay, this is what you have to do. Let's do it. And then the nerves kind of took the backstage.
Right.
And then from there, I was able to function through the nerves. So I would even add to that and say, while we do all of these things, it doesn't mean the nerves go away or the doubt goes away, but it's like how you manage yourself in the moment when those things happen. So I like to welcome, I'm like, hey, welcome nerves, you're back. Like, welcome to the party, nice to see you again. Here's what you're not going to do. You're not going to ruin my time here though. So just find your place over there in the corner.
No, that's powerful. Yeah. Because I think the moment you believe that feeling nervous is a negative feeling, then when it does come on, you're like, oh crap, like I don't want to feel like this. This is not right. I'm supposed to feel confident. And that's not true. Even people who are good at what they do and who are confident feel nervous. So just accept that it's going to be a part of it.
Yeah. Like resisting it, I think prolongs it. And it doesn't help to try and pretend it's not there. Don't deny a part of yourself, but what you can do is embrace it and know you have control over it, right? So I've heard like CEOs getting nervous, still bringing, for speeches, still bringing notes in their hand just in case. I've seen I think in one of my communications courses, this huge movie producer, and he just sank in his presentation, despite his experience, working with, Hollywood. He still got nervous and he just left. He just left. Wow. So you can go all the way up here from down here. It don't mean the nerves will go away. That's like a very unrealistic way of thinking about it. But do know that you have the control. You can prepare. If you don't have time to prepare, you be in the moment, you breathe, you try and relax. Alter ego thing, which I will be trying.
Find a name. Tell me what the name is when you figure it out.
Okay, I will. Wait, what is your alter ego name? You never tell me.
Catriona.
Oh, Catriona.
Which is the Miss Universe girl.
Oh, okay.
So it's Catriona Fierce, and then Beyonce is Sasha Fierce, and then you can find someone who you look up to, and it really helps Dominic. Like in the moment, it's like, oh my God, like I'm said Beyonce is who it is. It's like, oh yes, I am Beyonce, and then you open your eyes and you're just it.
Yeah. All right. Okay, I'm taking you up on that. You know what's something interesting too? I think with let's go into biology a little bit, the way our body reacts to things. Sometimes it's almost like, let's say you are in danger, like actual danger, like the physiological response, the heart rate increasing, the blood pressure increasing. It just feels almost the same as if you're going to be mauled by a bear. And sometimes you have to remind yourself, this is physiology, this is evolution. Like just realize there is no bear. What is the worst that can happen? Sometimes the worst that can happen is you get a no in public. But did you die though? Will you die? And sometimes you have to like step back and recognize what the scenario is and realize it's not life or death. Remind yourself of that. No matter what, you'll make it out. And that kind of helps to size the situation a little bit.
Can I just add to that as well?
Of course.
Your body reacts in the same way to things that are there, meaning it's a fact that there's a bear there and he's going to attack you, and the imagined scenario that the bear is there. So if there's a man in the bush and you believe the man is a bear, your body will react to the situation as if it's a bear. even though it's not a bear, and the man comes out and he's not a bear. So in life, when you feel those feelings, sometimes you create it in your head. You know, it's not there. There's no danger. There's no harm.
It's in that, yeah. You have to tell yourself that, like, it's not the bear, it's actually a man.
Yeah.
Not eat me alive. And we'll be fine. We'll be fine. What has been the most difficult challenge during this process, or difficult moment that you've overcome, or you're still overcoming?
When I have to wear different hats in areas that I really don't have any experience in. So yes, interviewing and public speaking and everything. I don't know. I find that I feel like I actually have it in me to do it. It's just that I needed an experience like this to bring it out. But something like singing, let's say, I had to sing for my talent for both Miss Jamaica World and Miss World. And my confidence in singing, I sing in my shower, I sing in the car, you know, to myself at home, but never in front of an audience. And I've never seen myself as a performer in that sense. As well as dancing, you know, I had to dance for a portion of the Miss World competition called Dances of the World. And I dance, you know, when I go to parties with friends, but it's not performance. You should know this, right? Because you used to dance. Performing, dancing is different from just a little rock from left to right, you know? And those situations really intimidated me. And in those situations as well, I realized it's all mental. If I trusted and believed in myself and, you know, maybe embodied an alter ego in the same way, I would be able to do it very well. But, you know, I'd say personal battles, you know, self-doubt, self-talk, that's been the most difficult thing. And I don't look at it as something that, oh yes, I've overcome, I'm just this person who's 100% confident all the time. I think every time I'm put in an uncomfortable situation like that, I'll have to deal with it. So I would say that.
Yeah, and life will keep bringing it on. Like,
yes.
As long as you have ambition, so, and you're, you know, you're the kind of person, like I know you are, where you want to put yourself in places for the greater good. Like if it means you have to challenge the parts of you that's telling you no, you can't do it, you'll still put yourself up there and do it. And so more moments like that will come. But all that to say, you've been doing a really good job. I mean, you mentioned you would have done well if you had embodied an alter ego, but you did perform and you did sing and you did win Miss Jamaica World. And you showed up. So that's amazing in itself, you know? And I'd love to hear maybe a little bit later on though, like what it was like going onto that stage, particularly with singing, going onto that stage before, what you're feeling during and what you were feeling after, if you're okay with telling that story. But I guess now, since we're still talking about the title, how do you hope to represent this title for the rest of the reign? How long is the reign? I don't think I'm very familiar with the system and how it works. I'm like, yes, you're crowned, but like, then how long are you acknowledged as Miss Jamaica World? And then what do you do?
So it's normally for a year. This, what would it be? September, it should be. They'll have another Miss Jamaica World competition. So I was Miss Jamaica World 2021. And this year they'll crown Miss Jamaica World 2022. So it's normally a 1-year reign. COVID has changed things up slightly. But what I hope to represent, honestly, I think more so than having a title, I want to focus more on the impact I'll be able to have in Jamaica. That's really the main reason I entered. And it really irks me. You know, when something irks you and you just think, I will never do that. Like you just try your best to avoid that thing. It irks me to see when beauty queens win a crown and then they kind of do nothing with it. And you wonder, you know, whatever happened to her, or what mark did she leave? Especially in a country like Jamaica where there's so many issues to be addressed. Pick one, you know, do something about it. You have people eyes on you now, ears listening to you, because suddenly I'm no longer Khalia Hall, but I'm Miss Jamaica World. And so I don't want that to go to waste. I don't want my reign to come to an end and I feel like I didn't do anything with it.
Mhm.
And so my focus is health. And so, yeah, my dream, honestly, I don't know how far I'll be able to go with this, especially with COVID, but it's to initiate something for children. So whether it's some kind of compulsory basic nutrition education in schools from a very young age, because children are curious, they're at an impressionable age. Oh my gosh, mommy, did you know there was this much sugar in that? Like they're just a lot more open to learning new things than an adult who's stuck in their ways.
Yeah.
And then when they grow older, they will have healthier habits if they understand it well. So I hope to do that, as well as, and this is another hard part, have healthier options in school canteens. You understand at Campion, it was patty and cocoa bread, box lunch with fried chicken, very little vegetable on the side that people normally left behind. And, butter and cheese after school, more patty, more sweets, sugary drinks. There was not a healthy option unless you were going to make the effort to carry it from home.
Mhm.
Did you do that?
Me and
No.
the patty and the cocoa bread were one. We were same.
Same.
Yeah.
So yes, even if children are educated, if they don't have the options there, then what will they do? Suppose their parents aren't going to make the effort for them at home. So I think that is where change will come from. Not what Ministry of Health is doing currently by providing healthy options in KFC and Burger King and Wendy's. That's not the solution.
For me, my weakness is sugar.
Okay. It's
And
not you wanting to, don't let me fool you. It's not that I drink green smoothies every morning, so
yeah.
I have a sweet tooth too.
Yeah, and to be honest, like talk shop every day, same time, same icicle. Like that was me in prep school, and then Campion, still have all the sweets. So it's nice.
And now, what's your craving now?
Nutty buddies. I love drumsticks. So
Yes.
I love them so much, and I'm trying. I haven't had one in a while, which is great. But there's a point last year where stress was really getting to me, and I was like, all right, the weekend is here. I think I deserve a nutty buddy.
Let me treat myself.
And then it started to become not so much of a treat and more so like, yeah, I just deserve one because I deserve one. So yeah, I think I drink my green juice, I drink the celery, and I cleanse.
Oh, wow.
I undo it all with the sweets. So I think I still need help with trying to curve off of the sweets. I love chocolate too. So
well, you sound like you're finding balance. It doesn't sound like you're going overboard,
I'm trying. Do you have a weakness? You say you like sweets too, right?
I do, yeah. But what else I noticed, and you can tell me if it's the same for you, is that you can train your body to not crave it. So if I haven't had sugary things in a while, even if it's say a week, suddenly after I have my dinner, I don't really crave something sweet. But if I'm constantly giving myself a little sweet treat after dinner every night, then it's just habit, and next night come and I want that sweet treat. So yeah. You can train your body out of it. For example,
I'm banking on that because I still have that. Have you got something sweet? All the time. Like that's
so you've never had a period of time where you crave less?
I feel like I can always at any given period just eat something sweet. Like the fact that I'm not eating anything sweet right now is because I'm like, no, Dom, you have an interview, that's not appropriate.
Okay.
But also like that's how I have to go about my day. Like I have the craving, but I just don't cave into it. And then after a while, I'm like, now looking back and I'm like, wow, it really has been a while since I've had a drumstick. It's because I just stopped giving into that craving. And even though I could have really do well with one right now, it's like, nah, you don't really need it though.
So it's more self-control for you.
Yeah, it's self-control. Self-control is hard.
It is, girl.
Listen, but we need to have it.
Yeah,
in order to survive out here. Too many temptations out here in the world.
Sometimes you can convince yourself, meaning it's not good for you, but you literally create all these reasons and you craft a story and you're like, yeah, I deserve it, you know, and you genuinely think you do.
I want to go back to what you said about potential, because I want to experience, I want to continuously experience that. I want everybody listening to experience that we have so much untapped potential, every single person. And it's up to us whether we want to maintain the barriers that's keeping it in, or we can just chip away at it until we get to see and experience the greater, the greater that we have to offer. Look how far you've come and look where you are. It's a really wholesome feeling and a wholesome experience to have.
Can I ask you, what's the most recent situation you've been in where you were uncomfortable, you felt like you couldn't, a lot of self-doubt, and you just had to push through and do it, and at the end you're like, hold on, it wasn't that hard, Can you think of something?
You can say no, first of all. For anybody listening, enough mean enough. We shorten it in Jamaica. But yeah, I can think of multiple moments. Right now, I'm in a role that I never thought I would. Like for my 9 to 5, I'm in product management at a tech company. And oftentimes I'm called to do things that I never thought I could because my experience or my background wasn't in it. Studying, I never did business in my undergrad, for instance. I never did any engineering. I never worked with software engineers before, never worked in technology before. But when I'm called to in moments, speak about how the team is doing, how the project is going in front of VPs, I usually have to lean in my own confidence, knowing, hey, I can represent the team, I can advocate for the team, the whole like public speaking, communications, being effective, being assertive, that calls a part of me that's very different from, I would say, my younger self. My younger self was very quiet, very introverted.
Someone was telling me about a study they read the other day. Don't quote me on this because I didn't read the actual study,
okay.
But it was along the lines of, if there's a male and female applying to a role, if the male's credentials matches, say, 50% of the required criteria, he'll be like, oh yeah, like I can apply to this job. Whereas a female would instantly be like, oh no, doubt herself instantly, I can't apply for it. Obviously, I'm not the perfect match.
Yeah.
So there's, a certain confidence difference between male and female. And depending on the industry you're in, it can even amplify that. I know for engineering, I was one of 12 maybe girls on my course in a class of 200 and odd students. So yeah, I don't know how it is in your company, but as a female being assertive, there's another level of difficulty because of just your sex.
Yeah. No, I feel that. And for me, it's like my sex and being a Black woman here in space, having a lot of white male energy around me, and usually being, I think right now I'm the only Black woman in the product management org at work. So it's thank you. So it's always, looking in our room and saying, and even though you're not seeing anybody else who looks like you, just reminding yourself, yeah, you deserve to be here. You moved to Italy and then you became a chef for plant-based international cuisine. So, and your passion for food, I'm going to assume it didn't just like pop up one day. It was probably brewing. So help me see what that transition was like.
I don't have a story to tell like, oh yes, when I was a little girl, I used to look up at my grandmother and she passed down all the recipes to me, and cooking is just in my blood.
Oh, no, like we need to start. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
You don't want to hear my answer anymore.
No, got you. Tell me your answer.
So, I baked a lot in high school, and that came from. I told this story before when I was at Miss World. It was actually my head-to-head challenge answer. And so, yeah, when I was growing up in St. Anne, I didn't have cable television. Not because we couldn't, because yes, I was a country girl, but because my father didn't allow us to, he didn't want us to be influenced by the media at such a young age. And so I used to have to sneak to my neighbor's house to watch SpongeBob and Disney Channel and everything. But when I moved to Kingston for high school, I was away from my parents boarding, and there was cable TV, and it was the most exciting thing ever, because on Saturdays I could sit down and watch, all the channels that I couldn't watch before. And one of them that I was drawn to, and I would say I became obsessed with, like I would just watch it all day, the different shows, was Food Network. And so I'd say that's where my love for food started. I would watch it, I would try to recreate little things. And
any particular shows on Food Network? Because there's a couple on there.
The early days, Rachel Ray, cooking with Rachel Ray. Yeah. And I used to even imagine myself being, the next Rachel Ray. I'd come home and set up a camera and be like, hi, today we're going to make coleslaw. And even if it came out, I'm so proud of myself. But it was not until during my studies, my engineering studies abroad, I, started to do a little research into food and plant-based and its impact on the environment or health as well, and came across this Ministry of Health study that stated that the #1 killer in Jamaica is non-communicable diseases, which are, lifestyle-related diseases, things that we are in control of depending on how we move and what we eat and how stressed out we are. And
isn't that ironic though, like thinking of how, the island lifestyle is thought to be very healthy, very natural, very organic.
People have said that to me before, like, what, in Jamaica?
Yeah.
We have a diet that's heavily based on processed foods, a lot of meat. I'm not saying meat is inherently bad, but when you're eating it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and in such large quantities, with no vegetables, it can do you bad, And so when I saw that study, I felt, I don't think you understand. It was like this calling. It was like God was calling me, like, Khalia, you better match that love for cooking with love for your country, and wanting to solve this issue and like go back and do something about it. And so I, even if my family initially was like, oh, maybe you should go and find an engineering job, I was just so strong-willed. And so that's what propelled me to Italy, to finally learn cooking in a more, it's not formal training, it was informal training, but it wasn't just me at home by myself experimenting.
So you moved from Italy and then you moved back to Jamaica to fulfill, and then talk a little bit about Shibumi, because that is your baby, your brainchild.
Yes. So I spent a year in Italy working in, plant-based restaurants. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of the year, everything was bubbling up inside of me. I was like, it's time. I have to go back home. And so I moved home to Jamaica. And looking back at it now, I don't know if you've ever had moments like this where you did something crazy and in the moment you had the courage. But after the fact, when you look at it in retrospect, you're like, wow, I did that.
Yeah.
I almost feel like I couldn't do it. No, I moved back to Jamaica and went to a night market. It was like a weekly market every Tuesday. And they had different stalls. Some people sold jewelry, some people sold food. And I set up my stall there. Nobody knew Khalia as the girl who cooked vegan food. So it was a shock to people. It was a shock to myself, like warming up to this new identity. And I did it. I sold food in person, cooked in front of everyone. And it grew into a delivery business. So I delivered lunches just twice a week because it was very time consuming. I'm a one woman business. Mm-hmm. And so, it was successful. People love it. Everyone is begging me to start back now. Like, hey, when is Shibumi coming back? And so hopefully in March, I'll be up and running again.
Wow. Okay, so
you haven't been here to try it.
I know. Like, I want to come back to Jamaica sometime this year. My dad is still there, my little sister, my little brother. And so
okay, so you have family.
Yeah, I have family still back home. But what would be the best way for me to come and try it?
Honestly, in terms of future plans, everything is up in the air. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm doing it. Maybe Shibumi won't be anymore by the end of this year. I'm not sure. But hopefully you come at some time this year so that you can order. It would be delivered to you. So you order online and then you could pick up as well, or I would deliver it to you. So yeah.
Okay. Yes, I have to try it. My dad is also a pescatarian and he loves vegan food. So
Okay. You need to bust him on it then.
Yes, we always had fruit trees in the backyard. So he's a country boy. Maybe I just
Okay, country come to town.
Exactly. And so is my mom. Oh my gosh. Also a country girl. She's very much into health, or my diet growing up. People look at me strange. They're like, Dom, your taste buds are weird. I can't believe you enjoy those things.
Wow, so that means you are health conscious as well.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I'm at a health tech company, girl.
It makes sense now.
I'm like, I think that for us to be who we are and to experience our potential, we have to be health conscious as well. We have to think about our health. And I feel like I never had a choice. Like my parents just, always reminded me of it. So even when I was young, I was like, why are we using this? Why are we, why are we boiling herbs? Why are we, so.
That's super powerful. It is. Because I think that's where the solution is. It's in the children. Adults are stuck in their ways. Yes, if they want to change their diet, you can open them up to it. But from we're in school, I think we should learn what to eat. You know, we pay extra money to put a certain type of gas in the car. If something is wrong with your car, you take it to the mechanic. He knows what to do with it. But we don't know what to do with our bodies. We don't know what to feed it. Yes, they teach us the very, very basics of nutrition, but not to the point where we right now are feeding ourselves in the ways we should,
Yeah. I think we've grown to really like taste over everything else.
Yes.
My mom's extreme. She's like, we don't eat for taste, we eat for health, So there are certain things I used to grow up drinking, like barley grass and crush up the powder and drink it and all that.
That's
oh no, did you freeze? I think you froze.
Dom?
Hey, yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Oh no, did you save the recording? Like you had that?
Oh no, it's still recording. You're fine. We're good.
Okay.
I'm just start back where we left off. But yeah, what was I saying? I was saying
you're telling me about the stuff your mother did, and I was like, that's amazing. That's and can I just say something else? I think we forget that food is fuel for our bodies. Yes, it's to be enjoyed, which is why I still think, if you go out with friends, just eat what you want. If you're craving ice cream, go and have the ice cream. But food is fuel. So majority of the time, you should be eating what energizes you, what's, supplying your organs and everything else with what it needs. So.
Yeah. And when you're healthy, I feel like that also helps you to tap into your beauty because you can put on and cake on and add on and cut out what you don't like and whatever, refine it. But when inside of your body is working well and, not just like nutritional health, but like mental health, all of that, like you can see it palpably in the way you look, in the way you show up, your energy, it just feels different. So I think health is very, very, very necessary for us to level up in life. Yeah.
And not just physically, like you said, it's like, you can't do your work efficiently if you're not giving your body what it needs. And it's not just food, as you said, I'd say it's food, exercise, and then like relationships, but then also your personal mental health. So it's so intertwined.
Relationships with people and with yourself.
Yes. Okay, perfect. So we can just call it relationships.
Yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head. All of that, it's holistic health. Health is not just, hey, I'm sick, therefore I must go to the doctor. It's so much more than that. It's an upkeep. It's you have to tune in and tap into yourself and know when something feels off and when something is different, what you need, what your body needs, because your body talks to you. Even if things feel, for some reason,
I just say amen because it's just so rare for me to hear other people saying this to me because I think these things, but then I always feel like people don't understand it. Or not people, obviously some people do, but the average person doesn't. So to just hear you saying all these words is just warming my heart. So yes, continue.
Well, it really does. And like, even if it's just like if you're in danger, if you're in a certain situation, and something feels off, you can also tell that with your body. So it's important to, even if you're in a mode where you're just going, to pause and to listen to yourself, listen to what's happening, because, people fall down from exhaustion.
Yeah.
People collapse because that's the body saying, listen, I was speaking to you in whispers and I had to scream that day. I had to scream for you to stop and listen. And sometimes we wait until it's too late, or until, like it's a crisis, versus if we do the instrumental things throughout and embed it in our lifestyle, then we're better able to avoid those extreme situations. Yeah.
And then I also think the body is such a magical machine. It was designed to do everything it needs to do. So it heals itself. It knows intuitively what it needs. And so I think what happens is that we don't treat it well, or we overwork it. And then it gives us signs, and we just have to listen to those signs and pull back in areas that we need to pull back on, or correct things we need to correct. And then it will start functioning well once again. It's not always a pill or a doctor that's going to fix it. We know more than a doctor, I believe.
Yeah. So also, like, pull back. I like that idea. Listen to yourself. I'm a huge fan of that. So many things that we do is going to feel more important than us or our bodies in the moment. I mean, from my journey with my career, your journey, now Miss Jamaica World, you have your interviews to do, you have X and X to meet. All those things do feel important, but never more important than your body, never more important than your health. And it's so easy to forget that. And we should always try and remember that. Reel back in and remember, there's no grand life, there's no life on Hi-Fi without knowing that there's a you. So there needs to be a you first. If you're going through it, there needs to be a you first. Self-preservation is there for a reason. It's not selfish to think about yourself in that way and to give yourself that amount of importance.
I mean, it's obvious, like, your health is all you have. And I feel it, especially in moments where I lose it in some regard, so maybe I've had COVID before. I fractured my hip before. I had chicken pox and a fractured hip at one point. And in those moments, I really realized how important our health is, because without it, we can't do anything. All these dreams you have, the people you love, you can't spend time with them. You can't go for what you want. You can't just be and enjoy life.
What is one thing that people often misunderstand about you?
I can give you one related to pageantry and one not related to pageantry. Related to pageantry, probably just like, oh, just a pretty face. What we've been discussing, when I feel like the main reason I'm here is for so much more than that. And then outside of pageantry, because I moved back to Jamaica to start up a vegan business, people often think I'm strictly vegan, and I'm not. Up to last night, someone said it to me. They're like, oh, the vegan Miss Jamaica. And I was like, oh, I'm not strictly vegan. I'm not vegan. So I don't know if you thought that as well.
I thought you were vegan.
Okay, then great.
I transitioned into being vegan.
No, and I think this is a beautiful thing. So I don't really like the labels. And I think the labels are what cause people to run away from it so much. It's like, oh, it's either I have to be vegan or just stick to my nice diet. It's not like that. You can create what works for you and what works for me.
I'm glad you said that. I'm really glad. Like, as someone who don't have I have the tendency to be vegetarian, but I'm not, because I eat chicken. I like lean meats.
Right.
But yeah, continue.
So yeah, you don't have to suddenly start eating a strictly vegan/vegetarian diet and start calling yourself vegetarian. Why can't you just, when your body feels like taking a break from the meat, have vegetarian meals, maybe super often if that's what it wants.
Yeah.
And then when you want the chicken, you have the chicken.
Yeah.
I would say I don't purchase, like, I eat vegan at home. So I don't purchase eggs, milk, cheese. Actually, I have some cheese in the fridge right now. That's my weakness.
Oh, cheese.
I don't purchase. Yes. I don't purchase those things. Meat, definitely not. But if people say, "Oh, we're going to Devon House," I go to Devon House with them and I get my ice cream. If I'm craving pizza, I'm going to have my pizza. Especially when I'm traveling, I think it's beautiful to be able to experience culture through food. And more recently, for the first time, I've been dabbling in fish. So before I used to have a bit of dairy, eggs, cheese, but no meat at all, not even fish. And when was it? No, last year I started having fish for social reasons, and it's made life so much easier. So if I go out with friends, it's sometimes in Jamaica there is no vegan or vegetarian option, but I can have a fish option or a shrimp option. Or if I'm at my friend's house and their parents prepared a salmon dinner, I don't have to say, "Oh no, I don't eat salmon," and refuse their meal. I can be a part of it with them. So yes, that's, I think people think I'm vegan, but I'm not.
That's a good one. And you know what? I can't wrong the people. I can't have a vegan business. But I love that you're championing flexibility, because I think that when we try and restrict ourselves too much, we just unnecessarily make life hard.
Yeah.
Life don't have to be that hard. So I love that.
And it's what you do. It's what you do and eat most of the time. In the same way that someone who has a rotten diet, who has salad or whatever, a healthy meal once in a blue moon, they're not going to be healthy. So if you throw in some sweet treats, some guilty pleasures, your fried chicken and whatever else you enjoy, it's not going to ruin your health. So just find what works for you.
Yeah, I love that. It's all about everybody's something different. Your something don't have to be the same as the other person's something. I keep breaking it.
Exactly.
I keep breaking into patois, y'all.
Maybe it's because you're talking to me. Yeah. I'm trying to remember if you have an American accent in other episodes. Would you say you do?
Not really, but I think my accent does things sometimes, because I lived in New York first and here, but I've always maintained it. Like, I've never not sounded Jamaican to me.
I love that. I love that. So many people just go away and 360.
The accent gone. I love it. Yeah. I think it just.
So even at work?
They're like I would say my coworkers know, because there are words that I just have to say it the way it comes to me. I feel like water. There's nothing wrong with saying water. Like, I don't feel like I have to say water. Like, it just don't come as natural. But there are times, though, I won't lie, like, code switching is real. And when you're talking to somebody and you really don't want to have that barrier of, repeat, what did you say? Then you're just like, okay, let me just talk like this because you'll understand. But I still said understand. So anyways.
Understand. You don't go to the and.
Yeah, no, I don't twang like that. I just reduce the patois words and maybe just speak more standard English. Which does come naturally for me. Like, my mom used to be like, "Don't speak patois, don't speak like that." When, like, all my years of growing up, I would argue that I speak more patois now. I'm like, don't worry,
no, that you're transition.
She can't tell me don't speak it again. But yeah.
Very important question. Do you say cucumber or cucumber when you're over there?
I used to say cucumber. If I say that now, people go look at me like, "Hey," so I would say cucumber.
Okay.
Yeah.
That happened to me once, long time ago. I was at a Subway. And, I was like, "Oh, yeah, it's tomato, this, that." And I got to the cucumber. I was like, "Cucumber." She's like, "What?" I was like, "Cucumber." She asked me like 10 times. I was like, "Oh, cucumber." And she's like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
So I get you.
Yeah, no, that can be a really like weird interact. I remember I was in the States and someone was saying something. So it wasn't me they were misunderstanding. It's just I couldn't understand them. It's a really heavy, like, I don't want to say Black American accent because there are so many different types of accents depending on if you're the South, New York, Chicago. But it was one of those accents that I just really got dung into the accent right in there. And he just kept saying the same thing. And I'm like, is he asking me something about my order? I'm not going to nod my head and pretend that I understand because I don't want to get messed up food. So I just had to be like, what? Yeah, and I felt so bad.
I was going to tell you just nod and smile, but then you said that, so
I don't want my food to come out bad. um, yeah. Anyways, that's a really interesting. Have you ever, because you were in Italy, do you speak German? I feel like I heard that somewhere.
no, I speak Italian.
Italian. Okay.
Italian,
And
yeah.
from the year of being there?
So I had a 4-month internship there, I think a year before that.
Yeah.
Or 2 years before that. And that's where I learned the language.
In 4 months?
Because yeah, girl, like when you're in an office and everybody talking Italian and you have to communicate with them, I was like Google Translate, I learned the grammar. By the end of it, I was speaking Italian. Don't ask me how.
Damn, that's really cool.
People in the office would just help, and you just catch on when it's in your ear all the time. You know, it's not a classroom setting where it's like, hola, ¿cómo estás?
Yeah, I've always said this to myself, like, you know, if you don't star up Spanish and you're fluent by the end of this, just go and take a 4-month trip or like a 6-month trip, and hopefully that helps. But no, that's really cool that you learned Italian in that 4-month internship.
Yeah, I wish in high school we did not necessarily travel, but we would just speak more. I feel like there was a lot of writing, but we didn't really speak until oral exams.
That is true. That is true.
Or maybe you had a different teacher. If you had Miss Mason, that would be different.
I had Miss Mason.
Maybe she would. I think she was better, no?
She was really, I remember her just being really strict with Spanish. But no, she did make us speak. She made us learn a lot of words. We had like our vocabulary books. So every time I heard a new word, I'd write it down. We got Miss Mason. She was awesome. We had like Spanish parties, and we would like, I remember I had to like make quesadilla and bring it to the Spanish class party.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was really cool.
She went all out.
Yeah, she did, but I am not fluent in Spanish right now.
Well, it's been a while. It's been a while.
You know, I went to Dominican Republic just before the pandemic, and I was so shocked by how much Spanish I lost. I was like,
I thought you were going to say the opposite. I thought you were going to say I was shocked by how much I knew.
Ooh, I wish, because I went there and I was like my mom never did Spanish in school. Like my brother, I was like, don't worry, family, I have you. Like I'll take care of this. And I just was like, does that mean man or sister?
I get that. No, but you're rusty. That's all it is. I'm sure if you gave yourself a little more time, and when you're on holiday, you don't really have the time to properly soak it up. So yeah. Exactly.
Khalia, what has your life on hi-fi?
The little things have my life on hi-fi. Expounding, I would say it's not just the little things, it's the recognition that the little things are what matter. And so in so many different regards, I would say growing up in Jamaica, and I think we were talking about this the other day, you have such meaningful experiences and conversations in seemingly mundane situations. So you can go to the supermarket and have a conversation with the cashier, and she can literally like teach you a life lesson in that conversation. Or like you bump into a coconut man in the market or on the roadside, and you just, even if it's not a life lesson, it just impacts you in a very meaningful way, whatever was said. And I think sometimes we believe that something has to be big and grand to impact us or for us to impact something, when really it's really the tiny things. You know, your everyday interactions with people can be so loving and giving and help them to feel good and help you feel good. And your little habits and experiences compound into like big dreams and goals. So it's just acknowledging those little things.